So exercise number 1 is the hip thrust. So a few things here you will notice is I am going to be pushing through my heels more so than a flat foot. Currently I just find this a bit more effective for me to actually feel my glutes and get a bit less aggravation through my quads or my knees, because sometimes with a flat foot, especially when the load starts getting heavy for your rep range, there is a tendency to kind of push the feet and almost try and activate your quads, whereas if I'm pushing through my heels, I do find it isolates my glutes a lot better. This next exercise is a bit of a funky doodle one. I do really like it though. So as I'm going to explain in the little video after this is just the way the weights are set up. I do find with the arc motion, it really challenges me on the way back in, or the eccentric. So I do really focus on trying to push my knees through the padding as much as I can, coming back in to try and control that, and less about trying to push through my feet to try and get the movement. I find when I use my knees more, I feel it in my glute medius a lot more. Rather, if I'm pushing through my feet, I get a bit more of my glute max. Also, maybe try and have your pelvis tucked under slightly before starting the movement. You might find that a bit easier too. This is a very interesting machine. The movement pattern is quite funky, interesting to look at. I'll just probably worry about who you're looking at the gym, if you are at all. But I think it's amazing. I would love it if the gym I go to regularly had this. Probably the best glute med max machine from a sensation point of view. Definitely interesting. I'll say that again. Probably the one thing that's quite hard is controlling the eccentric. I think the arc with the machine, it makes the concentric or pushing out really easy. But then you get a big swing back, which really forces you to try and slow down. I really try and push my thighs into the padding as much as I can and not use my feet. Practice makes perfect, let's just say. So here's a warm-up set, trying to get my VMO activating a bit better, doing that kind of last 10 to 15 degrees of motion. But I also find this helps just kind of lubricate my knee joint a bit more as well. Because as I talked about previously, when I just do the full range of motion straight away, it does affect my knee, especially if I was to do this exercise first in my leg day. So I like to do single leg generally just because I do find there's a big difference between my left and right. Because my left has had about 9 surgeries, the muscles in the general on the left are generally a lot weaker. So if I was to do bilateral movements, I would definitely overpower with my right leg. So for this current programming, my leg extensions are working on one leg at a time. And then we're going to do a seated hamstring curl. So you will notice with this one, I'm really emphasizing trying to hold that bottom position and then coming out slowly, just because the less speed there is in this movement, the less force that's going to go through that joint with the weight. And as I talked about before, currently a lying leg extension is a bit more knee friendly for me, but they don't have it in the gym I'm going to currently. So this is the, this is the way I have to go. But yeah, it felt good today. Just really trying to emphasize pushing into the padding as I'm coming back up and resist it as much as I can. You're definitely going to notice that last rep's going to be really bit of a struggle. I'm not going to go past that point just because for my knee joint currently, it's not worth that fatigue. And it's not worth just trying to jerk it out and potentially move in the wrong way, which might aggravate my knee joint, because I'm going to pay for that later on. The next exercise is working on my inner thighs. So I do have a bit of a funky way of getting in there, but that's just because I'm trying to get as much stretch as possible with each repetition. So I find actually having my feet in as close as I can on the foot grips the most beneficial, because the more my knee is towards my midline in comparison to my foot, or the more of that valgus position, that does actually aggravate my knee joint. Whereas if I can get my feet and knees in line, or even my feet in a bit closer to my midline comparative to my knee, I do find that really helpful in trying to reduce or eliminate the knee pain with this exercise. As I'm coming back out, really trying to focus on that nice slow control and getting a bit of a stretch at the end if possible. So the next exercise, just got to tighten up my hockers there. Hopefully one day there will be some type of sponsorship or work with them, because I do love their brand. I wear them every day, and it's the shoes I essentially wear 24/7. Even to bed, you might say. But single leg cuff raise. So I do love a Smith machine. It's a simple straight up down motion. Really, really helpful. What I'm trying to do here is focus on pressing down through all the knuckles of the balls of my feet. Trying to not just drop down super fast and focus on getting a stretch at the bottom. So as we talked about before, in my opinion, I think trying to have very strong calf muscles is really important for shock absorption when we're walking. And also trying to do a stretch at the bottom of this exercise, even if it's just for a little second, trying to get a bit more range, might be really helpful in trying to improve your dorsiflexion here. So when you're doing other activities, for example, walking downstairs, walking downhill, or just walking in general, there's more range of motion that your ankle can do with control and less that your knee has to bend to overcompensate.